then even if I don't win, then that will be something I can hang my hat on and know that I did my best. And when push came to shove, I did not make the top 5 or, reach that goal. But what was very interesting is when I walked away from the experience.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the Kick Your Boots Up podcast. We're in season 3 and I can't believe it. Thank you for all the love and support that you guys have shown us. And as always, if you like what you have heard or if you want to see more, share this with your friends, tell everyone about it. And if you have any ideas or a person that would like to be on the podcast, please comment below, let us know. And season 3 is one that is showing you the circle of friends that I have in my life. And what better way to do so than with Rebel Sjeklocha. Rebel, I really don't even know how to introduce you because you're so cool. I am so in awe of you. I've always looked up to you in many ways, even though you're younger. But I guess I'm going to start with, okay, you were Miss Rodeo Nebraska 2023. Big deal, you guys. That's amazing. I haven't seen you since then. So congrats on winning Miss Rodeo Nebraska. Congrats on doing everything at Miss Rodeo America. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Oh, Taylor, thank you for having me. It feels like a really cool full circle moment to be here.
It is full circle, and there's so many stories that we could tell, and I'm sure we will, on the podcast, but I'm so proud of you now. One of the most recent things that I'm excited for you is your engagement. I'm so happy. Tell us about your fiancé just briefly.
Oh gosh, yes, I got engaged in October, getting married here this fall in 2025. My fiancé and I, we were great friends throughout college and then started dating post-college, actually during my years Miss Rodeo Nebraska, which is a wild time to start dating someone new. But Cade is wonderful. We ranch in the Sandhills of Nebraska. And yeah, he's just a great supporter and love him to death.
What stage of the wedding planning are you in? Have you started?
Oh goodness. I have all of the big pieces booked, but the details right now, I'm joking, are none of my business. They are my business, but just haven't quite got there yet.
And that's okay, because honestly, the more low key and less stressed you are, the better, because it's just going to be even more peaceful that day, and
yes,
you'll get to enjoy it fully.
Keeping the focus on what's important.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of what's important, we would not be able to do anything that we could do if we didn't have money to do it. Your job is really cool and really important. So tell everyone out there actually what you do, because I'm a big fan of the Breaking Barriers podcast, but it sounds like you do way more.
Yeah. Well, after my Miss Rodeo Nebraska experience, I took a few months to get my boots under me, if you will. And in March of last year, I started full-time with the Rural Radio Network and the Nebraska Rural Radio Association. I actually interned with them throughout college off and on, in between other internships and whatnot. So was really thrilled when they contacted me after my Miss Rodeo America experience to pursue a full-time position. They approached me with a new idea. There's kind of been a void in at least our local space for Western and rodeo content. So that was kind of the idea, was expanding into that space, but also having my role be more of a podcast focus, which as a traditional media group, we have 16 stations across the state of Nebraska that are all traditional radio. So breaking into more digital spaces. So in my role, I host the Breaking the Barrier podcast, which I actually got to start in college through my internship. So it's cool to see that project through now. But I also host a weekly program called the Nebraska Rodeo Update, which is just local Nebraska rodeo news, Western events, that sort of thing. And then another fun project that gets thrown in the mix is the Building Nebraska podcast, which is all about Nebraska entrepreneurship, rural communities, and that sort of stuff. So that's a little taste of what I get to do in my day-to-day life, but I have the pleasure of working remotely, so I get to view the beautiful Nebraska sandhills out my window while I work on media projects. So it really is the best of both worlds.
Okay, so that actually really sparks some interest, because you've covered all the bases. I'm so curious to know, if you're hosting a show and hosting a podcast and hosting a different podcast, do you ever have a hard time managing and juggling all the different hats? How do you do it? Talk about that, because there's a lot of listeners out there I know that are really big into marketing and strategy, and it feels like this almost has to kind of be a strategy.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting and fun because all the different podcasts have different target audiences. So you really get to be creative about how you achieve those goals. And so I think it keeps my job fun and interesting. I don't like to do the same thing all the time. So it's kind of fun for me to wear those different hats, but I definitely see what you're saying there.
Yeah. It's just like would be a little bit of a challenge. Yeah, that's so fun though. And then like whenever you talk about the brands, you know, you're focused on rural Nebraska, and then your personal podcast is more rodeo focused. Is that fun that to kind of get to have different avenues, different opinions and perspectives?
Oh, no doubt. Well, on the Nebraska Rodeo Update, that's rodeo news, results, standings, that sort of thing. And then the Breaking the Barrier podcast is long form storytelling. So it's really two different modes of communication, or styles, I should say.
Yeah.
But I'm sure as you're familiar, hosting a podcast is such a unique opportunity to really get in the weeds with people. It's one thing to network and meet someone in passing and feel like you know them. But a podcast or an interview scenario is a scenario where you can ask that individual, granted, as long as they're comfortable with it, pointed questions that get past the surface level in a way that you wouldn't be able to if you met them at a networking event or a corporate dinner or whatever that might look like. So it's kind of going from 0 to 100 very quickly, but I found that it's really rewarding, and it kind of allows you to connect with people in a way that you might not otherwise have the opportunity to.
Oh, I totally agree. That's exactly why I love listening to podcasts, because especially like with our rodeo queen background and stuff, sometimes media interviews would be 5 minutes max. So you felt like you didn't even get to share your story. You didn't get enough out there about whatever you were talking about. And so, yeah, this is the perfect time to like get to know someone better and get to see the full story. So with that, one thing that I am obsessed about you is that you play guitar and that you also write cowboy poetry.
Oh,
do you ever write songs? Do you ever?
Well, none that the public, they are under lock and key. I don't know that I will ever be brave enough to do that in public. But as far as guitar, I'll be very candid. Everything I think comes in seasons. I have not picked up my guitar in like 8 months, so I really need to do that.
Yeah.
But I love having creative pursuits. I've always loved music. I kind of joke that I like to wordsmith, which is just writing silly things in my journals and whatnot. But I think words have so much power, and I think that's why I pursued a career in media and communications anyway, because it's so fun to craft messages that mean something to you. Whether or not anyone else resonates with them, that's just a cherry on top. But I really like getting to be creative in that way, whether or not someone reads them or if they're just for me.
And that's honestly so cool, because I completely words are so important, and it's like you in 1 second can tear someone down or build someone up, exactly with even sometimes saying the same phrase, just the way you say it, you know, tone, everything. I like love to analyze words and stuff too, but that's exactly why we do what we do, right?
Yeah. Well, and music is so powerful too. I grew up singing and being involved in all the musical things, and I mean, just a quick example, Patsy Cline is my all-time. Anyone who knows me knows that I am Patsy Cline's biggest fan. May she rest in peace. But like, she had such a powerful voice that made you feel so comforted, but yet it was so strong. And so, yeah, if I'm on a long road trip, I'm listening to Patsy Cline on lock. That's exactly what I'm doing. So
okay, that's so good to know. And I would love to know, you spend a lot of time traveling throughout the year as Miss Rodeo Nebraska, and then also obviously you're from Nebraska and you're in Texas, so you travel a lot anyway. But what does a road trip with Rebel look like? What's going on?
Well, lots of music for sure, but I really like to be able to. Solo road trips do not scare me. I really enjoy being able to go explore and go off the beaten path. But more often than not, I've found a vintage store or an antique store or something of the like. I also really like to stop at local wineries and pick up a gift for the trip home.
That's a fun memory to add to your wine collection. I'm a big wine collector too. I don't have that many. I talk like I've been around for 70 years.
Am I a sophisticated wine connoisseur? Absolutely not. Do I like pretending? For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you ever open up the bottles of wine? Like, I'm like not to that point yet. I just like looking at them.
Well, yes and no. Let's just be very clear. I am not buying the uber expensive bottles of wine that I just need to look at. I'm buying them for the experience, or a gift for
cutest bottle
for my family when I get home. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so relatable. I do the same thing.
And I guess on my road trips, that's when I take the time to call my friends and gab. So that would be my road trip routine.
So are you a voice texter then? Are you voice text?
Yes and no. That or a Snapchat video. But
Yes.
I would much prefer visit with someone on the phone than exchange back and forth.
Text.
That stresses me out.
Yeah. I could definitely see you as like, that's why I was like, Because, like it's maybe you guys out there agree, but like, I feel like you're either a voice texter or you're not. So anyways, let us know. That might be a hot take on it all. Okay. But I've got to get back kind of into your story. I'm getting way ahead of myself. I just love chatting with you and all the different avenues that you have. Tell us about how you grew up, how it began for you, and kind of how you got where you are today.
Yeah, so I grew up on a small farm and cattle operation in southwest Nebraska. My dad did custom hay grinding. My mom is a veterinarian, so very much in the ag industry. I grew up in a rural community. I graduated with 7 kids, including the foreign exchange student. So I like to add that tidbit in there, but really got to experience the beauty of growing up in a small community and having the entire community care for you. So really enjoyed that experience. Went on, I think I competed in my first queen contest when I was 13. My mom grew up on a ranch but didn't rodeo. My dad kind of same story. So that was kind of a new world, but my mom had started sponsoring the Miss Rodeo Nebraska pageant through the vet clinic. And as an 8-year-old, they told her about a little Cowgirls clinic. So I went and I met Miss Rodeo Nebraska 2009, Amy Amack, and Miss Rodeo America at the time, Amy Wilson.
Oh, Amy, okay.
And during that crossover period.
Switch, yeah.
Yes. And I was absolutely just enthralled by them. At that same point in time, I had gotten my first horse for Horse 4-H. So I was gung-ho no matter what in my lime green fat baby cowgirl boots that I was going to do that. So one thing kind of led to another, and I kept myself really busy throughout high school and college, taking as many opportunities and internships as I could. But at the end of the day, knew that I wanted to continue that journey, and of course was Miss Rodeo Nebraska. But in many ways, yes, as you can relate, that takes up a lot of your time and mental capacity as you're growing up. But I always knew that there was going to be life after that, so I just tried to build as many life skills that I would be able to apply when that was all said and done. And it really served me well. So I guess my advice to anyone listening to this at that age would just be to take as many opportunities as you can. And now I'm getting to see the fruits of that labor and kind of watch those seeds blossom a little bit. So, and that's why we're here today.
Oh, for sure. And that's like the coolest part of the whole journey. But I can't help but think about when you said your mom was a vet. I totally forgot. We were eating lunch one time. So I guess I should tell everyone out there, we interned for the Cowboy channel together, and it was very brief. It was like during the NFR in 2020 when it was here in Fort Worth. It was crazy, psycho. But I remember we were eating at Shake Shack one time, and this might be dramatic. I don't remember if this is actually how it went down, but it was something very similar. You're like, oh, I have a headache, or someone at the table had said something about a health condition. Let's say they like had a stomach ache or a headache. I don't remember. And you're like, oh, I'll just text Dr. Mom. Is that what you call her?
Dr. Susan.
Dr. Susan.
Yeah.
Okay. I just remember being like, yes. And she's a vet too. So it definitely correlates to humans. It absolutely does.
Yes. For legal purposes, this is a joke. She is not giving medical human advice, but yes, it does. It does come in very handy.
Honestly, was that just like the funnest growing up, having a mom that was a vet and also like a female in a predominantly male role?
Yeah. And I don't think I really appreciated that as much. And now that I'm older, I really realize just all of the balls she had to juggle at once. And, she commuted an hour each way back and forth my entire childhood. So, and she went back to work 6 weeks after I was born. And she just never really skipped a beat. And it's so interesting growing up a veterinarian's kid because, of course, in ag and growing up on a farmer ranch, you experience this too. But in the vet clinic, you're exposed to life, death, sickness, healing, maybe all of them in one day. So it was just kind of a crash course for, life, and was really exposed to those things. But on the same token, having a mom that's a veterinarian, I think anytime anyone would ask me if that's what I wanted to pursue, almost just out of defiance, I'd say, oh no, I'd give some excuse. As a kid, I'd say, oh, it's too sad. I don't want to put an animal down or something like that. Yeah. But really, I think I just wanted to blaze my own path.
Of course.
Maybe just out of defiance. Now, as I'm an adult, I'm like, maybe I should have considered that a little bit more, but I think everything worked out the way it was supposed to.
It all works out exactly the way it is. But no, you're so right. And that's honestly, I would love to hear your advice because I know I remember and am arguably going through it right now. I feel like your younger 20s are like the time that you spend figuring life out. And I just remember being like, decisions. What do I do? So what's your best piece of advice for everyone out there listening that I don't know if they're like a few seasons behind you and they're trying to like maybe they're in the internship phase or they're in the still in college phase.
Well, I think it's really interesting and kind of strange because when you go through college and whatever experiences come after that, it's one thing after another, and there's a next natural step, it feels like, at least in my experience. And on top of that, you're getting constant validation that whatever you're doing is correct, whether that's as silly as the dean's list or you get an award in a program or things like that.
An A.
Yes, an A.
Yeah.
That, oh, Taylor, you're doing great.
Wow,
Or Rebel,
yeah.
you're doing great. And then you get to adulthood and you take a job and you get a year in and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing next? But
Who's in charge here? Can someone tell me?
yeah. And I had a great conversation with my uncle, who's actually an attorney here in Dallas. And I was kind of freaking out about a career thing. And he was like, Rebel, Lord willing, adulthood is a long time. So it's okay if you let something simmer and you don't have it up to your specs right away. And that's kind of what I've been abiding by right now is my life feels really good. I enjoy what I'm doing. And maybe while I do want to grow and develop and not be complacent, I don't necessarily have to be checking off the next box. When those opportunities arise, absolutely, I'm going to take them. But right now it's just kind of being content. So in a long worded way of answering that, I would just encourage people to enjoy where you're at, and it's okay if things have to simmer for a while.
Sure. And in the meantime, like maybe if you are simmering at work, whatever, you still have a wedding to look forward to and a name change and becoming a new person. That's kind of the weirdest thing about marriage, I will say, is like, you know me as Taylor Spears. That's who I was growing up. Yeah. And then now I'm like Taylor McAdams. But that's kind of been fun. You know, it's like, ooh, I don't know who Taylor Spears is. You know, it's kind of like a fun, I guess in a marketing, you would say like a rebrand.
No, that's hilarious. Well, it's funny because 90% of the population can't or refuses to pronounce my last name. So I've always just been Rebel and that's just fine. So my new last name, I will be moving to the front of the alphabet, and my new last name obeys the rules of phonics. So I think we'll be okay long term.
That's amazing. You're going to be telling everyone your first and last name. From like, everyone you meet. Oh, I'm Rebel.
And you can sound it out.
Okay, this is so random, but hearing you say your name actually reminded me of a Disney show that we used to watch. Maybe you did. Radio Rebel. Have you heard of the movie? Is that you? Is this?
Well, it's so funny because my friends in college would always make fun of me because I was interning at a radio station. Yes. So they called me Radio Rebel, but I don't know if anyone gets this reference and they've actually watched that movie in its entirety. Good for you. But at the very end, where they're trying to unveil her identity and everyone comes forward, I'm Radio Rebel. No, I'm Radio Rebel. My friends used to do that to just make fun of me, and I think it's hilarious. So I am Radio Rebel, but I'm just Rebel.
No, I love that. I love the way you handle that. Oh my gosh, this movie! Wow, wow. Okay, so. Kind of going into like your personal life now. What are some of the things you like right now? Skincare, movies, you name it. What's Rebel liking?
Oh gosh. Well, it's interesting. I've actually been on a challenge since the beginning of the year to buy less and buy more intentionally. So buying things that are higher quality, maybe with a bigger price tag, but just buying less of it. So as far as skincare and stuff, I'm trying to use what I have, but I do really like I don't even know how you say it, the La Roche-Posay. Okay. That's what I've been using. Yeah. But beyond that, I've just been really kind of trying to lean into hobbies that I like instead of being a consumer all the time.
You picked up any new hobbies? Because you're so talented already.
Oh gosh, I don't know about that. I really need to get my guitar out of the closet and lean into that some more. But I'm very fortunate. My grandma actually turns 86 next week. She made the trip to Dallas with me, so really excited to celebrate her birthday. But she is a jack of all trades and has been teaching me how to knit. So I'm in the process of knitting my first sweater. She has a huge weaving loom. It's probably 10 feet wide. So I've been learning how to weave rugs, tapestries, things like that. And then I did a trial by fire garden last summer, which was an experience in of itself, which we don't need to go into that. But
I'd love to.
But I've just been really trying to to experiment with different hobbies and see what feels good. And of course, I love being out on the ranch and being horseback. So that's been really rewarding too. At the time we're speaking, we are smack dab in the middle of calving season. So that's been really fun and get to be horseback just about every day.
Oh, that's like a dream, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's amazing. And we were kind of joking about like you work remotely. So that gives you the opportunity to ride to, do more. But then like on the other side of that, we were talking about having coworkers, things like that. So I'm so happy that you're here to gab with me because I'm like, it's a new face. It's so fun to talk to you. But I feel like it would be a missed opportunity not to share with all of our friends about your rodeo queening experience because I don't really get to talk about rodeo queening with another rodeo queen. Like I've explained it to Juan, and Clay, our 2 video producers. I'm like, this is what it was. And they both look at me like
you have 3 heads. Like, you did what?
Why was that? And people judged you. So I guess let's start with your Miss Rodeo America experience. Like, was that not the craziest week of your life that you also like you equally love and also regret at the same time? Like, it's like a weird.
It's definitely an experience that you need a few weeks to kind of decompress from. Yes. And honestly, the worst part of that, this is so unrelated, but just living in a casino for 2 weeks, you are so sick by the end of it, or at least I was. Maybe my immune system is just a weenie, but the Miss Rodeo America experience is so interesting because you spend it's different than say Miss America because those girls prepare for the Miss America pageant, but they don't know the girls that they're competing against. And that's the beautiful thing about the Miss Rodeo America pageant is you get to forge relationships all year long with these girls and travel with them and the whole 9 yards. But in the back of everyone's mind, they know that the pageant is coming and it's just kind of this big elephant in the room, not necessarily relationally. That's not what I'm trying to insinuate, but there's so much weight that's put on it as opposed to the impact that you make all year long. So I entered the pageant with lofty goals. I mean, we'll be candid. Like I wanted to win. Who doesn't want to win? Of course. But I also know from experience that any young woman in the top 5, and even beyond the top 5, would make an exceptional representative. So in my mind, I thought, okay, well, if I can land among there, then even if I don't win, then that will be something I can hang my hat on and know that I did my best. And when push came to shove, I did not make the top 5 or, reach that goal. But what was very interesting is when I walked away from the experience, there was very little that I would have changed about my performance.
Okay, we have to stay there and talk about that for a second because that is so real. Like most every girl says that they did the best they ever did.
I mean, now if I'm going to get very nitpicky, granted, we're our own worst critic. Like there are things that I could have, a few things here and there.
Yeah.
But broadly speaking, I wasn't. If you would have told me prior to that I didn't reach my goal, I would have been like, oh, I was going to be so devastated. Yeah. But after the fact, I knew that I had prepared as best I could. I knew that I had, lived up to my own expectations. So was it disappointing to not meet the goal on paper? For sure. Especially because so many people invest in you and support you and want you to do well too. That was something I definitely considered. But at the end of the day, I knew win, lose, or draw, I had life after that experience too. And yeah, it's a very strange week unless you've experienced it to try to describe to someone.
You really can't explain it.
And you don't have your phone. It's insane. It's like you're transported back to 1882. No, I'm kidding. People can send you emails. They didn't have those in the 1800s, but you get the drift. Like you're alone in Las Vegas. I know it's to keep things fair and stuff. I'm like, what if I get kidnapped? What am I going to do? No one's going to kidnap you on Miss Rodeo America.
That's actually really funny because you think, what am I going to do without my phone? I've never gone without my phone, But then by the time the pageant gets, thank God I don't have to respond to anyone.
I know. It was very freeing.
Listen to anyone. Like the beauty of a phone and having like a podcast or like your normal go to sleep music or whatever it is. But no, it's so right. And I don't know. I've tried to explain it to our listeners, but if you're new, I'll give you a brief synopsis. So basically it's a 10 or longer. I think it's getting longer. The pageant's getting longer. It feels like every year.
Oh boy.
10-day event that basically you're up at 4 a.m. and you're in bed at midnight every single morning and night. And it's a marathon. And you go through, every experience that you go through as a rodeo queen happens in those 10 days. And it's a magical experience. But I remember being a girl that hadn't competed in the pageant. I almost like held on to every word that everyone said about it. But like until you experience it, you really just you can't put it into words.
Yeah. And it was one of those things that really, people talk about having a short memory, but it's really one of those scenarios where you can't be dwelling on how you did the minute, hour, day before. So it really is a test of mental toughness, I would say.
The pageant actually made me realize how mentally tough I wasn't at the time. Like I thought I was like prayed up, studied up, all the things. But then, when you're left alone, I don't know if you've ever seen that show on, I think it's like Netflix, maybe the History Channel. It's called Alone. Have you seen it?
I haven't, no.
So they basically get dropped into an undisclosed location and then they're just expected to survive. And they have like 10 items. They're allowed to bring 10 items. I almost feel like that's like the pageant in a good way. Like it challenges you in every element of okay, I've got to think for myself, be for myself, do all the things, it's an interesting situation, but fun, of course. Like we both looked forward to it. We both encourage girls now still to this day, help them out with clinics and stuff. So, I'm always like, it got us to where we are, whether we realized it would or not, like, especially wanting to win. Like we both wanted to win so bad, but along the way, joke's on us because it actually taught us way more than the crown would have actually taught us.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I guess not to get too into the rodeo queen weeds, but if any rodeo queens are listening to this and you're approaching that experience, or, heck, even if you're not going to the Miss Rodeo America pageant, there's a trade-off to every outcome. I thought about this a lot after the pageant. Like, if I would have won, I would have been gone 300 and some days of the year. My personal relationships probably would have suffered. Granted, people close to me would have been understanding, but this, that, and the other. And there's just a trade-off to every outcome, whether that's a pageant, getting a job, not getting a job, personal relationships, what have you. And I don't know. I think that there's not a perfect answer to anything, and you just kind of have to figure it out as you go.
That is such solid like insight and advice even too, because that can be translated to life, not even pageant. Yeah. So seriously, thank you for dropping the wisdom, because that's like so big. And I know a lot of our listeners are around our same age, so they're going through struggles or situations. So there's someone out there that definitely, including myself. I'm like, this is such a good check-in.
And pageants are meant to prepare you for life, not to be your life. Yeah.
I learned that one the hard way.
Yeah. Well, some lessons you just have to walk through,
Yes. Yeah, no, for sure. No. Well, it's been so good to see you blossom into the human that you are today. I am so impressed with you. So thankful you took the time on your busy weekend here. And if you've made it this far, you guys, Rebel is in the middle of the time of the recording. She's in the middle of a crazy weekend, 30 under 30, things are happening. She is newly inducted into the Cowgirl magazine 30 under 30 for class of 2025. And by the time the podcast is out, she will have already made it, even though you've made it now, but it's like more official, I guess. So join me in congratulating her. This is such a cool accomplishment. And if you guys have loved Rebel, which like you should, because she's such an interesting human, the way she looks at life is so fun and different. And that's what I love about her. But if you want to follow along on her Instagram, I'm going to give everyone your digits right now. Not really, but at Rebel SJEK, correct? Yeah. Rebel
Sjek for the time being.
Yeah, that's right. It might change. That's
but the great news is I'm just Rebel, so I should be easy to find.
For real. And if you have any questions for her or want to know more about her story, as always, you can DM us on Instagram or you can comment below wherever you're listening. And right now, I encourage you to get out your phone or get out the device that you're listening to or watching from and give us a review. If you're listening on Apple, we would absolutely love an Apple review. Or you can click the little bell if you're watching YouTube to get notified for the next time we post. But we thoroughly enjoy you taking the time to listen to our episodes every week. And Rebel, I have had a blast with you, so thank you for being on.
Oh, well, Taylor, thank you for having me. This has been a blast.
No, you're so welcome. And we'll see you guys the next time you kick your boots up.
Thanks for joining us on Kick Your Boots Up. I'm your host, Taylor McAdams, and we can't wait to share the next story of the West. Until then, feel free to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Follow us on social media at Justin Boots to keep up with our next episode. And we'll see you the next time you kick your boots up.